Hi there, welcome to Word from the Word. My name is Kent Rogers with the Lord's New Church, and today I want to just pose a question. Should a church organization be involved in activities that attempt to improve life on earth, help the downtrodden, help those in need, work for justice where there's injustice? Is that a church's role or not? A traditional stance in the general church, and it has carried over into the Lord's new church, is that those type of activities is up to the conscience of the individual within the church, and that the church's sole role is to disseminate truth. What that does is it creates a strictly vertical relationship between the individuals in the church and the church itself as an organization. The truth from the word, sometimes through the preacher, comes from that single source, the word, and enters into individuals. There's no vital relationship between the various individuals. And we can see that in the image of the lungs, where the alveoli have no vital relationship with one another. The vital relationship is strictly vertical with the trachea or windpipe. Whereas when a church decides that all the people, let's get together and work for some common good, then there's a real vital horizontal relationship added to the vertical that already exists. And that's like a heart. A heart has a web or a network of interrelated muscles that all work together to get blood flowing through the whole body, which we can think of as, the human race. So another analogy given in the Third Testament, besides that of heart and lungs for the church, is that of bride and wife. And, the most obvious element of a relationship between a wife and a husband is that of devotion and faithfulness, a special devotion. And that clearly means focusing our thoughts and our lives on what we learn from the Third Testament and the whole Word from the Lord, and devoting our lives to making that a part of who we are. And we know that a church is both an individual and also an organization on a larger scale iteration. The individual must, of course, both learn truth and then perform good works in the world. And so we might say, shouldn't that be true about an organization that calls itself a church? And I kind of see the analogy as, this another important part of being a married couple is that, children are produced, and a wife, takes of her own substance and creates a child and brings it forth into the world where it lives and is a new wonderful thing. So just, perhaps a church is supposed to take the truth that we receive and then wrap it into the substance of our experience here on earth and produce something living, a new spiritual life in the world, and that being activity that interacts with the realities, the social realities of the fabric of the human race. So it might be important or valuable to look into where the tradition within the general church and the Lord's new church came from of saying that actually the church organization's role is to disseminate truth, and it's up to the individual alone to take that truth and do good. There may be a very good foundation for that idea, but it's worth taking a look at. The Last Judgment, a book in the Third Testament, number 9, talks about the interdependence of heaven and earth, and made me think this morning when I read it, what is that interdependence? Why would heaven need human beings? And it seems to me that a plausible explanation is that only through human beings does the love that resides within angels find its final expression. And so they need us to do good so that they can be flowing through us in that love, which is really ultimately the Lord's love alone, finds expression. I'll just read that number. I think it's a really beautiful number. Last Judgment, number 9. I can affirm from all my experience of heaven, and from all my conversations with the angels, that no angel or spirit subsists without the human race, and no human without spirits and angels. Rather, that there is a mutual and reciprocal conjunction. From this it may now be seen that the human race and the angelic heaven make one, and mutually and reciprocally subsist from one another, and thus that the one cannot be taken away from the other. So I invite comments with your thoughts about this topic. I think it's a wonderful conversation to have. Where it goes, that's fine. Doesn't matter to me. I just wanted to posit the question. Have a very blessed week and happy June 19th and Juneteenth.